What if I told you that inside an ordinary block of wood, there is already a masterpiece waiting to be revealed? Not added, not glued on, not assembled, but hidden within, just waiting for the right hands to uncover it. Today, we're taking you on a full journey from raw wood selection to finished carving, showing you how a simple, rough block transforms into a refined work of art. This is not just about technique. It's about vision, patience, and understanding the material before you ever make the first cut. Because long before the carving tools touch the surface, the process actually begins with choosing the right piece of wood. And that decision alone can determine whether your project becomes a frustration or a masterpiece. When selecting raw wood for carving, the first thing to understand is that not all wood behaves the same. Every species carries its own personality, grain pattern, density, and response to tools. Softwoods like basswood or pine are often ideal for beginners because they allow smoother cuts and require less force, making it easier to control your carving tools. Hardwoods like oak, walnut, or maple offer incredible durability and beautiful grain definition, but they demand sharper tools and more refined technique. As you stand in front of a stack of lumber or reclaimed wood pieces, you're not just picking material, you're choosing the foundation of your creative journey. Look closely at the grain direction, because grain is like the roadmap of your carving. If you carve against it carelessly, the wood may tear or chip unpredictably. If you follow it with intention, your tools will glide more smoothly, and the natural flow of the grain will enhance your design rather than fight against it. Moisture content is another crucial factor often overlooked. Freshly cut or green wood contains high moisture, which makes it softer and easier to carve initially, but it can crack or warp as it dries. Kiln-dried wood, on the other hand, is more stable but slightly harder to shape. Understanding this balance helps you plan your carving timeline. If you're creating a detailed decorative piece, stability matters. If you're practicing shaping techniques, slightly softer wood may be beneficial. Even the presence of knots, cracks, or irregularities should be evaluated carefully. While beginners may avoid knots due to their hardness and unpredictable grain, experienced carvers sometimes incorporate these imperfections into the design, turning what might seem like flaws into character elements that make the piece unique. Once you've selected your wood block, preparation becomes the next critical stage. Before carving begins, the surface should be cleaned, trimmed, and squared if necessary. A flat, stable base ensures safety and accuracy. Sanding lightly can remove surface debris and help you clearly see the grain pattern. At this stage, visualization is key. Close your eyes and imagine the finished piece inside that block. Whether you're carving a relief panel, a figurine, a decorative bowl, or an abstract sculpture, you must mentally subtract material before physically removing it. Wood carving is a subtractive art form. Unlike painting, where you add layers, carving demands that you remove everything that is not part of your final vision. That mental clarity prevents overcutting and helps maintain proportions. Transferring your design onto the wood can be done in multiple ways. Some artists sketch directly onto the surface with pencil, while others use printed templates or carbon transfer methods. For beginners, drawing guidelines directly on the wood provides structure and confidence. These lines are not permanent. They are simply guides to help you stay aligned with your intended proportions. Once your design is mapped out, the real transformation begins. The first stage of carving is often called roughing out. This is where large chunks of excess wood are removed to define the basic shape. Using tools like a carving knife, gouge, or mallet and chisel, you begin eliminating material that clearly lies outside your design. At this point, precision is less important than establishing overall form. Think of it as sculpting the silhouette. You're turning a square block into something that begins to resemble your intended subject. Patience is crucial here. Removing too much too quickly can compromise structural integrity. Controlled, deliberate cuts keep the form balanced and symmetrical. As the rough shape emerges, you transition into refining the structure. This is where smaller gouges and detail knives come into play. Edges become more defined, Curves are smoothed, depth is introduced. If you're carving a face, this is when facial planes start to form. If you're carving a decorative panel, background areas are lowered to create contrast. The process requires constant observation. Step back frequently and view your work from different angles. Good carving is as much about what you remove as what you leave behind. Shadows begin to play across the surface, revealing dimension and movement. Detailing is where craftsmanship truly shines. Fine lines, textures, and subtle contours bring life into the piece. This stage demands sharp tools and steady hands. Dull blades crush fibers instead of slicing cleanly, leaving rough surfaces that are harder to correct later. Maintaining sharpness throughout the process is not optional, it is essential. With every controlled cut, you refine expression and character. A slight change in depth can alter the entire mood of the carving. This is why rushing through details often leads to disappointment. Slow, intentional carving produces cleaner results and fewer mistakes. Once carving is complete, finishing begins. Sanding smooths tool marks and refines surfaces, though some carvers intentionally leave certain tool textures visible for authenticity. Sanding should follow the grain to prevent scratches. Starting with coarser grit and gradually moving to finer grit ensures a polished surface. After sanding, dust must be removed thoroughly before applying any finish. The finishing stage enhances beauty while protecting the wood. Natural oils like linseed or tung oil deepen the grain and highlight natural color variations. Stains can add warmth or dramatic contrast. Clear sealants protect against moisture and wear. Each finishing choice influences the final appearance, so test finishes on scrap pieces before applying them to your masterpiece. Throughout this entire journey, sustainability plays an important role. Responsible wood selection means considering reclaimed lumber or offcuts whenever possible. Repurposing wood not only reduces waste, but also adds history and character to your carving. Old barn wood, salvaged beams, or leftover workshop scraps can become stunning art pieces. Trees take years to grow, and while wood is renewable, mindful usage ensures that your creative passion supports environmental balance rather than contributing to unnecessary consumption. Even small carvings made from scrap would help reduce landfill waste and demonstrate respect for the material. The transformation from raw block to masterpiece is deeply rewarding because it mirrors personal growth. At the beginning, the wood appears plain and unremarkable. Through patience, skill, and imagination, something extraordinary emerges. The same can be said for learning carving itself. Your first attempts may feel rough or imperfect, but with consistent practice, your technique sharpens and your confidence grows. Each project builds upon the last. Each mistake teaches precision. Over time, what once felt intimidating becomes intuitive. For viewers watching this journey unfold on screen, the magic lies in the visible transformation. Time-lapse sequences of rough blocks slowly revealing recognizable forms create powerful visual storytelling. Close-up shots of chisels slicing through grain capture the tactile beauty of craftsmanship. The sound of carving, the gentle scrape, the controlled tap of a mallet adds authenticity that no background music can replicate. These elements draw viewers into the process, allowing them to appreciate not just the finished piece but the dedication behind it. In the end, wood carving is more than shaping timber. It is a dialogue between artist and material. The wood guides you as much as you guide it. Its grain suggests movement. Its density determines pressure. Its imperfections inspire adaptation. From selecting the right raw block to applying the final protective finish, every stage matters. When you hold the finished carving in your hands or mount it proudly on display, you are not just seeing a decorative object. You are witnessing the result of vision, patience, and respect for natural material. So the next time you look at a simple block of wood, remember that within it lies possibility. With careful selection, thoughtful design, steady technique, and sustainable choices, you can transform something ordinary into something extraordinary. That is the true beauty of the full wood carving process. turning raw potential into lasting art, one deliberate cut at a time.